Mark and Paulette here, the two travelers in Mexico. Now, many of you have made the decision that you're going to move to Mexico, and that is fantastic. Some of you have gone forward with purging all of the stuff that you don't need and just getting rid of the non-essential stuff and pared it down to the minimum.
Yep.
But we're going to discuss a few things that you will need to take care of once you're on the Mexico side of the border. So get out your pen, get out a pad, start making some notes.
Because this video is called Starting Over in Mexico. My voice. I guess I'm having an out kind of a day on my voice.
Yeah, her voice does go in and out.
It does, and anyhow, sorry about that. But this one is going to be called Starting Over in Mexico. Okay? And like Mark said, start taking notes for those that are planning on moving here soon, getting your temporary, getting your permanent residency. Those are the ones that we're actually addressing, those that are going to be retiring somewhere here in Mexico.
What is subject number one?
Well, okay. Once you get started, once you get started here in Mexico, there's some topics that we're going to cover with you today. I've got them listed on my laptop here, and then Mark's going to kind of talk about it, each one, and I'll probably join in somewhat. Okay, so number one on your list is where to live in Mexico.
That's right. Now this is an important decision because Mexico has many different climates, from beach weather, hot, humid, to central highlands of Mexico, kind of a cooler climate where we're at now.
Right.
But it's not just location. It's like, where will you feel comfortable? Will you need to be by the ocean? Do you need to be cooler inland? What is your comfort zone on that? That's something you'll need to determine really pretty much right away if you have not done any previous exploratory trips to Mexico, to kind of nail that down.
Yeah, at least narrow it down to, do you want to be by the ocean? Do you want to be more inland by the mountains? That's where we are.
Yeah.
We don't do real well with the heat and the humidity, so that's a no for us. But you might not even know where you're going to start out, but have some kind of inclination, mountains, ocean, something like that. Okay, so that's an important number one on your list. And what is your budget for renting, if you're going to be renting?
Right now, Mexico also has a wide range of budgets for renting too. You can rent, a one bedroom, one bath studio apartment in Huatulco for $250 a month, or you can spend a couple $1,000s a month on rent, depending on where you choose to live and the kind of luxury and comfort that you would like. We find rents all the time in San Luis and even in Morelia for about $600 a month, US, and you can live pretty comfortably on that.
That's about 12,000
pesos.
About 12,000 pesos is about 600. You can. I did have a friend that lived there who was spending about $350 a month in rent, which is what, $7,500 a month?
Yeah, 7,000, 7,500.
Sorry, yeah, 7,500 pesos a month. So it is possible. You might want to stay at an Airbnb at the very beginning, and then kind of look around and see what's out there. But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you do have to start somewhere.
I mean, unless you know specifically, I want to be in Mazatlan. Bam, end of story. Okay, right. Fine. But sometimes things change too. Okay, and going with rent, do you want to rent furnished or unfurnished? That's another one.
That's an important question. For our first two apartments here in Mexico, we chose furnished. It was just easier for us. When your time is up, like in Morelia, we knew that we would be there for 1 year and then we would move on, so it made sense for us to rent furnished there. We rented furnished in our apartment here in San Luis because we weren't really expecting to stay long term, but then we decided to stay long term and bought a home.
Right.
So
Anyhow, so that's important, and to know your budget dollar amount. You know, something, you know, like maybe 600 to 800 or 400 to 600 or, you know, 3 to 5, something like that. You gotta figure that out too.
Yeah.
And then if you are going to rent, do you need a guarantor? And explain to them what that is.
Okay, guarantor is someone or a company that is willing to guarantee that you will pay rent for the full length of your contract. We had to have a guarantor here in San Luis.
We had one in Morelia too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But we didn't have to really pay anything
right.
for that.
And that was about 3,500 pesos.
Which is?
About 175 US dollars. And that was an interesting process in and of itself. And you have to go into an office, you have to sign 12 one-month contracts, put your thumbprint on each page. It was just me, Paula didn't have to do that. They made the contract in my name. They didn't give me any kind of a break for fixing a printer either.
And what else did you do?
I had to sign them all.
Yeah.
And then those were given to the landlord. And every month that we paid rent, we would get one of those receipts back. Now, we might be paying rent in March and getting July's receipt back. That didn't really matter, as long as we had a receipt for every month that we were there.
Right, right. So that's something else to consider. Most of the time in Mexico, we found anyhow, they want you to do like a yearly lease.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because we're gringo, maybe not. I know that our old landlord, and I can tell you this for a fact, our the place where we were renting, we went through a guarantor here in San Luis Potosi. We had to do a year's lease, but the people that came in after us only did a 6 month.
6 month lease, yeah.
So okay, and then what kind of living arrangement do you want? Do you want a secured building? Do you need off-street parking? Off-street parking, I'll just cover this one.
Okay.
For the secured building, okay, the thing is, do you want to live in a gated community where you come in and there's security guards there with the little, you know, railroad crossing thing right there, and you have to show a pass or whatever to get in, and your guests have to do the same, and a lot of times you either put them on the list, your guests, or you have to call down to let them come in.
Right, and then a lot of times what we've had happen is they will take our ID from us and then hold it until we leave again.
Right.
And a lot of times they'll take pictures of the front of the car to get the license plate, stuff like that.
Right. So that's a secured community. There's also secured buildings. Some of them have parking available, maybe behind the electric gate with no security guards. And you might have a space there for your car. It might be an apartment complex where there's underground parking where you have a space for your vehicle. Some of those buildings just have the security gate on the main door going across to get in. It just depends. I mean, there's a lot of varieties here, and you know, you'll figure that out when you come to Mexico. But you know, just kind of write down what's important to you. If of course you don't have a car,
then all this is a moot point.
Right. The secured building might be a point, and also the secured community, if that's what you're looking for. Or do you want to live among the locals, you know, without the secured building? Okay. If you want to be in an expat community, or do you want to be in an expat community, or do you want to live among the locals? That's another thing to think about.
Right, and that is a big, big, big decision to make.
It is.
Because it's important for you to wind up in a community where you can feel comfortable with, where you can build maybe like a network support system of newly acquired friends and stuff, where you can be comfortable of making new friends. For some people, that answer is a place like San Miguel or Lake Chapala, Ajijic, or some of the more expat-friendly places, some people choose not to live like that, and they just want to live in a community. You have to be prepared that it's probably going to be a little more difficult for you if you don't know much Spanish to live in a Mexican community primarily.
Right, but the thing is, you know, if you start out, maybe you want to make that soft landing. Maybe you want to be there for 6 months to a year, you know, and get comfortable with that. And then from there, you know, there's other destinations. There's what, 32 states in Mexico?
Yeah.
So you have plenty of places to look, travel to, check out, get familiar with, go back a few more times, all of that.
Yeah.
Do you want to live in a touristy area versus a non-touristy area?
Yeah. Just keep in mind that when you're living in tourist areas or expat havens, the prices of things are going to be higher than if you're living in pretty much traditional Mexican communities. So you might have to increase whatever your budget is somewhat to live in those areas.
Right. I mean, I agree. That's another thing to decide. Do you want to live in tourist areas or non-touristy areas? So put that down on your list too. Do you want any of the conveniences that you had in your old country? For example, a Sam's, a Walmart, a Home Depot, malls,
Costco.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Which they all exist here, at least in the major cities that we've seen, along with some Mexican versions like Bodega Auriega, which is like the Mexican version of a Walmart. A few other stores. Chedraui is a huge supermarket chain here.
It's a supermarket, but it also has other stores. It kind of reminds me of a Walmart in a sense.
Yeah.
Because it has TVs, microwaves, different stuff like that, some clothing, plus your grocery shopping. So it's got a lot of everything.
What stores do we see here that are kind of dying out in the U.S.?
Well, Sears. Sears is one. And another one that they have in Mexico is Woolworths.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Woolworths?
Yeah.
That does exist in Mexico. Maybe not all places in Mexico, but it does exist. It existed in, where was that?
Well, we've seen it.
Querétaro. It was there.
There's one here in San Luis. There was one in Morelia where we live.
Was there one in Morelia?
Yeah.
I don't remember
We
that.
bought stuff there.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because I tried to use my senior discount.
Yeah.
I got it once,
That was
but
hit
only
and
once.
miss on that deal.
Yeah, maybe it was a new employee that didn't know any
Yeah.
better. I'm not sure. So think about those things. I think the further out you live, like I know because we visited Huatuco, they don't have a lot of those conveniences. I mean, they've got the Chedraui, they have some other stores there,
Yeah.
but they don't have, there's like not a big mall.
Right.
There's not a Home Depot, there's not a Walmart,
Right.
there's not a Sam's, there's not a Costco.
But I think with like Huatulco, it was really built to be a cruise ship type of place where cruise ships come in, they dock, the passengers get off for a few hours, they get back on. So there's really no need for them to shop at any of those kind of places. The other store that I wanted to mention that's here that you probably not heard of is Liverpool.
Oh, Liverpool.
Yeah. Now Liverpool is an upscale store, I would say similar to Macy's.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar to Macy's. Very high priced, high end,
Yeah.
very good quality items.
And you see them in all the upper end shopping malls.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we did buy our appliances there.
Some.
However, it was Mother's Day weekend sale.
Yeah.
And we got like 40% off
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
crazy like that. But normally, no, we don't shop there. And then your health care.
Yeah, that's a big topic, especially if you, like us, if you're in your 60s and you're thinking about health care and medical coverage. Absolutely. Do you go with Eames? Do you go with
IMSS,
Right. Do you
which
just
is
it's the government Social Security insurance. Do you go with you just pay as you go kind of thing? Do you get private insurance?
right.
That's up to you. I mean, those are all things that you need to think about, and you need to be okay with your decisions on that. But that's a subject I think is maybe for like a 60 and older kind of crowd.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we're both 62. You know, and you think about those things. You think about, you know, what if something major happened?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you gonna go ahead and pay as you go? You could. You could. I mean, the costs are a lot cheaper here. That's
Yeah.
true than it is in the United States,
Yeah.
for sure. You
You're
know,
not, your Medicare isn't going to work here.
right.
So
Right. Well, you get that at 65 anyhow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's another option. Do you want to travel back to the United States and use your Medicare? You know, that's another option.
yeah.
I do know of one person, just to give you a quick example, that did have a hip replacement that was out of pocket, and that ran them for everything and physical therapy afterwards about 10,000 US dollars. So, yeah, something really to consider, I think. Okay, and establishing new friends. Do you hang out with the locals or gringos? Whatever you're going to feel comfortable with, I guess, huh?
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to one of our other points, you know, where you choose to land.
Right.
When you come to Mexico, do you go to an expat community or do you wind up in a primarily Mexican community?
Right.
Where we live now, it's almost entirely a Mexican community, but a number of them do speak English, and we have fun, and they invite us over to their house, and we invite them over to ours.
Right. Right. So it just, again, you know, it depends. I mean, if you pick a place like Lake Chapala, Ajijic, San Miguel, you know, most likely it'll be a soft landing where you won't have to worry about that. And I think that there's a lot of expats that are coming in also that are driving up the prices.
Yeah.
And like anything, you know, wherever there's expats, you're driving up the prices for one thing, and then the locals won't be able to afford to live there either.
Right.
So, you know, just keep that in mind. I mean, whatever works for you. I'm not trying to lay a guilt trip on you. That's not what this is about, but I'm just trying to give you some helpful information to put on your list of, you know, what to look for, to be aware of, and things like that, moving to Mexico.
And I know that factored into our decision to choose primarily Mexican communities to live in.
For us, yeah, we love the Mexican communities. We did not want to be in a gated community
No.
at all. But our last apartment did have security there.
Yeah.
It did have a big security gate, and then it had another gate that you had to go through. Not a drive-through gate, a walk-through gate, and then you walked up some steps and there was another secured gate.
Yeah.
But it just happened that we picked that one. It wasn't that we were looking for that. It just happened that it was a good central location.
Like where we live now, we kind of figured this out the other day. What percentage of these houses here have gates in front of them? Probably like 95%.
I would say probably 85 to 90% of them.
And that's just a pretty standard thing that they do in Mexico, where everybody puts up a gate in front of their house for privacy and I imagine some protection. So get used to that too.
Yeah, get used to that. It's just the way it is, and usually garages are unheard of.
Yeah.
So just letting you know that now, unless of course you rent a place that has like that overhanging, like with a room above it or something. Then that's like a closest to a garage that you're going to find, I think. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about was figuring how to get around with transportation system. Is there colectivos, taxis, Uber, local buses, the costs? Can you get a bus pass? Is there a local bus terminal near you? Is that stuff important to you?
Right.
Not all communities or not all areas will have the same things, right? Like Morelia was big on colectivos, which is like a van where they take out the seats and they just put like a U-shaped bench seat in there.
Right.
Easy access to get in, easy access to get out. That was really popular there.
Yeah. Here in San Luis Potosi, they have bigger buses. They're kind of tin canny and stuff, and rattle and make a lot of noise. And you can ride them for 9 pesos or 10 pesos to a lot of different places in the city.
Which is about 50 cents, 50,
Yeah.
50 cents US dollars.
Yeah.
And here you can get a pass. There's what is it, an urban bus?
Urban pass.
Yeah, an urban pass for those
a city
buses.
pass.
There's a city pass that you can get. They have your pictures on the back of them. You can put some money on it. And, you know, that way you don't always have to have the change. But a lot of areas have different things. You know, a lot of airports will not allow Uber to come in. I think even maybe some bus terminals don't really allow Uber to come in. But you just kind of fake it as if it's a relative or whatever. You
Yeah,
know, put your stuff in the trunk, give them a hug, you know. There's always ways around everything,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But colectivos here in San Luis Potosi City, they're not really that popular. I see them once in a while by a park, and that's about it. When we were in Campeche, they didn't have Uber.
Yeah, Campeche would not allow Uber in. There's a couple other cities that won't allow them either. And so you're pretty much down to just a taxi, or maybe you can find a public bus to take you around. We just pretty much relied on taxis when we were in Campeche.
And all areas are different. I haven't been to all the areas, so I can't tell you. But that's something else to keep in mind too.
But this is an important factor to consider. If you're going to move into a rural area and you're not bringing your own car, how are you going to get to and from these different places that you may need to go, whether it's to visit people or shop for groceries or whatever it might be? That all needs to play into your decision-making process.
Right. Do you have to walk a half a mile or a mile to where there's something that you can catch from where you're going to be living?
Yeah.
You know, just something to always think about. Or you know, if you don't have a car. We like our car for shopping. That's very convenient.
Yeah.
And for traveling to closer places.
Right.
Further places we take the
bus.
The bus because it makes sense. Right?
Yeah. And as we said in previous videos, the buses are very safe, very secure, very comfortable.
Yeah, they are. And there's usually 2 bathrooms in the back. There's usually plug-in for your electronics. We talked about that on another video. We won't get into all that. But the buses are very nice, and very reasonable in price. And when you become a senior and you get your discount card, you can get your seats for 50% off.
Right. Make sure that you find wherever you're at, find the INAPAM office that issues cards.
Right. Okay, and then figuring out your utilities. That's another one. Your gas is propane. Your garbage, electric, water. How does that all work in the area that you're going to be moving to?
Typically, like in the U.S., a lot of the gas is pumped underground under the streets or whatever. Not so here in Mexico. You see a lot of gas tanks on the roofs of houses and stuff like that, and it's on you to call the gas company to come out and fill your tank, and then you pay at that time.
And you could use a credit card, I believe. We usually just pay in cash.
Yeah.
But I believe that you can use a credit card. Some things you will have a problem with your U.S. credit card not working, especially with online things.
Right.
That's where a bank card from Mexico really comes in handy.
As an example, we can use our U.S. credit card in Costco just fine, no problems. If we try to use that credit card online, we get rejected every time.
Right. So that's one of the reasons that we opened up a bank account, and we have a debit ATM
card.
I think it's a Visa or something too.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's one really nice thing. So if you do want to order online, you can always refer to that credit card and not worry about being rejected.
So where do you pay your water bill? Where do you pay your electric bill?
OXXOs.
Yeah.
OXOs, and I know I'm saying it wrong. OXO. OXO.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can take your bill there. They charge you a little service fee. It's not much, like 50 cents or less.
Yeah.
And you know, you can pay that right there. You know, but those are really important factors to find out in the community that you're going to be living, to ask whoever you're renting from, ask neighbors, ask. You need to find these things out. They're pretty important.
Yeah. Building a network of friends and wherever your new place is going to be is really important here, to build a sort of support system for questions you might have, or you might be able to answer other people's questions.
Right. And plus it's nice to meet,
Yeah.
you know, new friends, because those friends that you left behind that say they're going to stay in contact,
That ain't happening.
yeah, not really. Very rare. Very rare. Okay, and then the cell phone system. There's Telcel, AT&T. What's the other one? There's another one too. I can't think of it.
I don't know. Those are like the two major ones. There's Telemax.
Yeah. And is it month to month? Is it a yearly contract? Where do you pay? Do you get coverage for North America that comes with it?
How much data do you get? Like in Mexico, as an example, unlimited data on a cell phone service is pretty much unheard of. I've never been able to find it.
No, that's why everybody in Mexico uses WhatsApp.
Right. Which is still data, but it's good for making calls and stuff back to the U.S.
Well, they use it for here. They message with WhatsApp here all the time. And call on it. You know, you can, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not, but you know, you can FaceTime, you can leave messages, you can send pictures, you can do all that stuff. It's super popular here.
Yeah.
And I think in other parts of the world it's really popular too.
Everybody here, they don't ask you what your phone number is, they ask you what your WhatsApp is.
Right. Which is your phone number.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. I don't understand that. So, you know, how is your contract going to be with the cell phone carrier? You know, are you going to be on a contract for the first year? Is it going to be a month to month? Some of them you can just buy at the OXXOs.
Yeah.
You can just buy like a $10
the
card
Amigo
or something.
plan or something
a
like
200 peso, you know, and just fill it when you need it.
Yeah.
There's tons of options.
You really just need to evaluate how much data you need. The other important thing about Mexican cell phone numbers is they pretty much block all toll-free 800 numbers. So there is a workaround that I've used, substituting some numbers for other numbers, and it seems to work.
I think you put that on one of our last videos that we did.
Yeah. And so that seems to work.
Okay, and then what internet carriers are available in your areas? Do you have fiber optic? Do you have satellite? What's the cost? Is there a contract involved?
Right. What's the quality of service?
Right.
Is it going to be fiber optic? Is it going to be satellite? What's it going to be? What's the cost of that? Total Play is a fantastic internet provider here. They offer cable, internet, and a phone number, which you can actually call US toll-free 800 numbers from. And when we had it, it was about 760 pesos a month, and that was about $38 US a month.
Right.
And a really nice package.
Right. We also had, that was fiber optic, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in our apartment. Here, not so much.
Yeah, we have satellite here, and it's okay, but it's slow.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, for downloading videos, it takes us quite a while compared to what it used to take us with the fiber optic.
Yeah.
But, you know, is that something important to you? Are you going to be working from home? Is that internet a very important factor on where you're going to be living in a community?
I mean, internet quality and service might be your number one priority above all the others, so you'll need to do some research into that area.
Right,
and see what's available and where you're planning to move to.
Exactly. So basically, this video is for those that are planning on moving to Mexico. More of the retirees. You know, all the retirees are getting younger and younger, and working online businesses work great, you know, working from home. But one other thing that I did want to mention that we did put in one of our previous videos recently was the fact that permanent and temporary residency visas requirement goes up every year. Okay, to the average cost of living in Mexico. Average cost of not living, average cost of income in Mexico, right? On the wages, on the
wages. Based on the daily Mexican minimum wage. Right. Which keeps going up by like 20% a year.
Which is good. But the thing is a lot of you guys say, oh, it'll be 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, something like that. I would say if financially you can do it, like with the savings or something like that, because a lot of times for permanent, they do want you to have a retirement. They want you to have a pension. But if you can do it with some kind of a savings, investments, something like that, I say get your butt down here, seriously, as soon as you can. Take a month or take 6 weeks if you can. Come down, start the process there wherever you're living, at the Mexican embassy there. That's where you got to start it. And then as soon as you get here, go in and complete that paperwork. You do not have to reside here once you get your permanent residency. At least you have it, at least you qualify financially. You can go back if you need to for your 2 years before you're ready to make the move here. But I would say, honestly, that's my opinion, because it just keeps going up and up and up. And
you might get priced out of the market at some point. Because it's like some of the qualifications for you have to have thousands of times what the daily Mexican minimum wages in the bank, or if you're qualifying on, you know, pension or something like that, you still have to have hundreds of times of the daily Mexican minimum wage coming in every month. So,
exactly, but that's just our personal opinions. You know, you guys do whatever is right for you, but that's just our opinion, seeing how it keeps increasing and so many people want to retire in Mexico, but are they going to be able to when that time comes around? Is it going to be throwing them out of the loop because their income doesn't reach that?
Please don't set yourself up for a rude awakening by delaying it. You know, our advice would just be to go ahead and do it now. I know that if Paulette and I were in that situation, we would be coming down here, getting all that squared away, even if we were going to work another couple of years.
Exactly. It's just a strong suggestion from the two travelers in Mexico to make sure that you can get your residency here now, as soon as possible. And as always, from the two travelers in Mexico,
what she did.
Bye, guys.
Bye.